Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2025 Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite race of the year. I cannot wait for this one. Oh, and by the way, rain is in the air, so that could spice things up very nicely indeed, but more on that a little bit later in the video. But anyway, last time out F1 was in Mexico, where Lando Norris dominated to take the win and the lead of the World Championship. But now it is on to the 4.309 kilometre, that is 2.67 mile, 15 corner Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, or Interlagos for short, for round 21 of this 24 race season. As tends to be the case here, there will be two DRSOs to help drivers get some moves done, with the first running between turns 3 and 4 and the second through the final corner and down the start-finish straight. Since its debut on the World Championship calendar in 1973, Interlagos has hosted 41 races, with 25 different drivers taking victory over the years, Michael Schumacher holding the record for the most wins with 4. And there are 5 drivers tied for most pole positions at the circuit. They are Ayrton Senna, Mika Hakkinen, Felipe Massa, Rubens Barrichello and Lewis Hamilton, who have 3 poles apiece. And that, by the way, is very handy indeed, because 3 is the number of dry tyre compounds available across a race weekend. And what's even more impressive is if we add 5 and 3 together, we get 8. Shocking, I know. And if we include the intermediates and the wets, 8 is the number of compounds in the whole Pirelli range. Oh yes, that's right, folks. It is tyre talk time once again. The compounds available for this one then are a step harder than last year, and so they are the hard C2, the medium C3 and the soft C4. But why, given Pirelli's efforts to try to encourage more pit stops this season, have they gone a step harder? That was certainly my question. Well, the manufacturer has explained that while the dry tyres were not used in last year's race due to the rain, when they were used in Friday practice and on Saturday morning, they showed high levels of wear as well as graining, especially at the rear, thanks in part to the very smooth, less abrasive new surface that was laid ahead of last season's event. So, if track conditions are similar to last season, and if it stays dry, of course, the decision to bring the harder compounds could extend the performance life of the tyres, which might allow the softs to come into play at some stage, therefore, potentially mixing up strategy a little bit. Obviously, there are a lot of ifs and buts in there, so we'll have to wait and see how things pan out across the weekend. And as already mentioned, for what it's worth, last year's race was wet, so the winning strategy didn't include dry tyres. Winner Max Verstappen starting on a set of intermediates before switching to a fresh set of inters on lap 32 under a red flag, tyres which he ran all the way to the end of the race. And given that stoppage, that was pretty much the same for everybody else. This may not come as a massive surprise, but safety cars are common at Interlagos, with 16 races featuring at least one full or virtual safety car period, including at each of the last 5 races at the circuit. Also, as already mentioned, and as of Wednesday afternoon, the weather looks like it could impact the weekend fairly heavily, with rain expected at some stage for all 3 days of running. Saturday's action currently looking like the most likely to be affected. And the latest forecast as of Thursday morning is on screen for you to have a look at right now. And your schedule for this one is a little bit different to Mexico, as it is another sprint weekend, the penultimate sprint of the season, of course. That means the one and only practice session gets things started on Friday at 2:30 p.m. GMT, and that is followed by sprint qualifying at 6:30 p.m. later that evening. Saturday's action starts with the sprint race at 2 p.m. with Grand Prix qualifying underway at 6 p.m. And it will be lights out for the race on Sunday at 5 p.m. And once again, that is in UK time. And for those interested, I will be live for all the main action this weekend, with the sprint qualifying, sprint race and Grand Prix qualifying watch-alongs all taking place over on Formula Sean. Link in the description if you'd like to subscribe. And then I'll be back here on the F1 Word on Sunday for the race watch-along. Lots of streams across the weekend. Now, before I make some predictions, let's have a quick run through a couple of news stories that have been doing the rounds since Mexico. First up, Mexico's National Sporting Authority offered an explanation into Liam Lawson's near-miss encounter with the marshals on track during the Mexico City Grand Prix. The multi-page document released offered a sequence of screenshots from the external camera footage as well as Lawson's onboard camera and suggested that the driver's actions had exacerbated the situation. Yes, really. The document explains the marshals were on track to clear debris and that when Lawson exited the pits, a light panel displayed the double waved yellow flag warning. It goes on to add, the images clearly show that driver Liam Lawson maintains the steering wheel angle of his car when taking turn 1 without changing his trajectory, even though the track marshals were crossing the track to return to their post. This action occurs whilst personnel were still working in the area, which shows that the driver did not interrupt his line despite the obvious presence of the marshals on the track. I should say, PlanetF1.com understands that while the intent of this explanation may have been honourable, it does not reflect the official position of the FIA. The FIA, since responding to the Bull statement, and has cleared Lawson of any wrongdoing, the statement saying, having analysed the telemetry from the incident, we can confirm that Liam Lawson slowed appropriately and reacted correctly to the double yellow flags displayed in the area, braking earlier than in other laps and passing significantly slower than racing speed into turn 1. He is not at fault in this incident. Not much else relevant to the weekend to share at time of recording at least, but it is worth keeping an eye on Alpine as according to some reports, it is expected we are set to get an announcement regarding their driver lineup for 2026. Franco Colapinto apparently set to stay alongside Pierre Gasly. Right then, time to make some predictions, and as always, please do not take these too seriously, they're just a little bit of fun. But if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And last time, well, surprise, surprise, not great again. Wrong on pretty much everything apart from Verstappen on the podium but in the wrong position and Russell for fastest lap. But given how these have gone for much of 2025, 1.5 points is as good as a win for me, so I will take it. But anyway, this week it is another tough one to call because it could all come down to how much rain we get and when. If all of the main sessions are wet, I can see this going only one way, and that is Max Verstappen winning the lot. If it is dry though, it certainly brings McLaren into play, and if we get a mixture of both, then this will be a very fun weekend. Then again, Max has excellent form at the circuit, and so he is likely to be right in the mix whatever the conditions, and as we saw in last year's sprint and indeed qualifying, McLaren have shown that they can go very well at Interlagos too. Plus, the whole event can be a bit of a lottery, and things have been far from predictable of late anyway, so who knows? So, do you know what? I'm going to hedge my bets on this one completely. Let's say we get a dry Friday, a wet Saturday, and a dry Sunday. That's based on the forecast as of Wednesday. That means I'll go for a Lando Norris sprint pole, a Max Verstappen sprint win, and Grand Prix pole position for Verstappen too. But in the dry on Sunday, I'm going to go and throw Oscar Piastri in there for the win, Verstappen P2 and Norris P3 with less than 5 seconds covering the top 3 over the line. What a weekend that would be. As for some separate bolder picks, I am once again going to go with Franco Colapinto for points. No, I will not let it go. A surprise rain shower mixes things up and we get a double points finish for Sauber on Sunday, and one more. How about we predict that we'll get similar conditions to last year, where, of course, Alpine took a shock double podium, and say that Isack Hadjar finds himself in the top 3 on Sunday. You never know at Interlagos, anything is possible. That is it for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix preview then, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions in the comment section down below. Now, as already mentioned, I will be back across the weekend with a load of watch-alongs over on Formula Sean and here on the F1 Word. But in the meantime, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel and it's never any battle with the YouTube algorithm. And consider subscribing too so you don't miss any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.